Imagine stepping into a cave at night. The fire has died down, smoke still curls in the damp air, and the stink hits you first: wet hides, sour sweat, old ashes. You hear scratching, nails dragging hard against skin until it burns red. Children pick through each other's hair, snapping tiny insects between their fingers. In the mud at the entrance, archaeologists later found the oldest proof of this misery: fossilized lice eggs clinging stubbornly to ancient strands. Survival here meant living with filth pressed into every breath. You have no soap, no comb, no hot water, only smoke cold and hides that crawl with life. Your scalp burns, your nails come back dirty and crescent-shaped. If you don't get a handle on the itch tonight, no one sleeps, and tomorrow's hunt limps. How did people like you beat parasites with nothing but ash, fat and stone? The layers of a cave floor will have to answer. If you fail, the price is counted in skin, infected bites, fevers, the shame of being made to sleep near the mouth of the cave where the wind cuts deepest. A child's neck is scratched raw. Hyenas test the dark just outside. In the entrance mud, a black band of soot settles layer on layer, silent proof that smoke was weapon and risk. The cave is damp, the ceiling smoked black, and even your breath feels heavy. You taste ash and wet hide on the air, a sour film that coats your tongue. Beds are nothing but reeds and skins layered over old dirt. Every layer remembers last night's sweat. Bodies sleep shoulder to shoulder, and the heat of the group keeps the cold back but invites other life in. Later a trowel will slide through this floor like a time blade and lift anchors of the story. Thin ash lenses from hearth rakeouts, calcined bone that pops under pressure, charcoal flecks shining like fish scales in mud, and a scatter of knotted hair sealed in clay. In these crumbs, the map of filth is readable. The room itself becomes a core sample of breath, smoke, grease, and skin. Outside is late Pleistocene weather, the kind that bites. Wind combs the valley and drives snow into seams. Inside the rock shelter, you learn to live with smoke because smoke keeps teeth and wings away. The fire never truly goes out. Someone rakes coals forward, someone adds marrow-rich splinters, someone buries embers to travel. On the midden lie cracked reindeer tibias and greasy stones. Rodents leave tooth marks on discarded joints and scuttle through the bone heap. Dirt is not an event but a climate. It settles, it builds. Strata form under your knees as fires are cleaned and beds remade, thin grey bands over brown, each one a night where people coughed, scratched, ate and slept. Tools make the intimacy with grime visible. A scraper's edge holds a gloss of dried fat and hair. Under a microscope, you can see the parallel striations of repetitive work. Flint burins nicked by shaving hides also shave bodies. Nails trimmed with stone, callus pared down, the itch scraped until the skin stings. In the inventory of a winter camp, you would log a short list: scrapers, points, hammerstones, bone awls, perforators, each with residues that tell on you. Even comb-like splinters of rib carry grooves packed with keratin and nits. Microwear on flint teeth confirms the tiny soaring motion of hunting lice along a hair shaft. Nothing is sterile. The kit of survival is also the kit of cleaning. Water is a season, not a tap. In summer you wade a gravel bar and grind sand into your scalp. In winter you melt snow in a folded hide with fire-heated stones and dab the places that chafe. Steam fogs the cave mouth and beads on the ceiling until droplets run down like slow rain. Smoke bows to the rock and licks your eyes. Soot paints every surface, even the inside of your nose and throat. Later, radiocarbon dates pin the pulse of these layers, and parasite eggs in the sediment confirm what your nails already know. Clean is not perfect, clean is brief. A window between the scratch and the next scratch held open by heat, smoke, grit, and stubbornness. You crouch by the hearth, digging your hands into the cold ashes left from the night's fire. The powder clings to your fingers, gritty and bitter smelling, and you smear it across your scalp until your hair is streaked grey. The itch eases for a moment, dulled by the dryness that ash brings. Mixed with marrow fat, scraped from cracked bones, the paste becomes a greasy shield, sealing tiny sores and suffocating what crawls there. Archaeologists later find microscopic fragments of charcoal trapped inside fossil lice, evidence that ash was not waste but weapon. Yet the price is smoke-heavy lungs, stinging eyes, and a constant odour that marks you from distance. The cave air tastes of fire, your breath thick with soot. Relief is fleeting, but in the rhythm of scratching and smearing, survival is carved. Would you keep coating your head, knowing each breath brings a cough that may never leave. In the dim firelight, you lean against a wall as another hand digs into your hair. Broken nails drag lines across your scalp until the skin burns red. The sound is soft but endless, a rasping rhythm like husks splitting. Fingers pluck small bodies, crush them between nails, sometimes even between teeth, the shells popping before being spat into the ashes. This ritual, repeated every evening, leaves traces. Archaeologists recover snapped human nails from sediments, their surfaces smoothed by constant picking, and hair clumps knotted with parasite remains. It is intimacy and survival fused, but danger rides close. Scratch too deep and dirt buries itself into flesh. Wounds fester, fevers rise. Yet without the ritual no one sleeps. Children whimper. Adults twitch and claw. The cave becomes a chorus of restless scratching. Do you let the itch consume the group, or keep gouging at skin until blood seeps through? Summer brings brief salvation. You wade into a river, scalp plunging into icy water that jolts every nerve awake. Fingers grind coarse sand into your skin, scraping deeper than nails ever could. Children splash around you, shrieking with laughter even as their teeth chatter. For a moment the itch lifts, carried downstream, but winter turns water into punishment. Snow is packed into hides, fire-heated stones dropped in until steam coils upward, then the lukewarm melt is rubbed onto the chafed skin. Archaeologists find cracked stones, their surfaces shattered by sudden cooling, and thus blackened residue of hides used as crude vessels. The act of cleansing carries risk. Cold shock weakens bodies, illnesses bloom in lungs. Still, the promise of feeling new, of shaking dirt away, lures you back. Would you risk fever for one clean breath, or live coated in filth that never loosens its grip? A spark leaps as you bend too close, singeing hair with a hiss. The smell of burnt keratin fills the cave, acrid and heavy, curling into nostrils. Some do it deliberately, holding strands near flame until lice burst in sparks. Others take flint blades, edges honed for hide scraping, and draw them across the scalp. The motion leaves scratches, raw, bald patches forming, but the nests are gone. Archaeologists discover flint tools with polish that matches shaving strokes, and in the ash layers, fused clumps of burnt hair. The act is brutal but effective. Pain sears with every pass, and yet the night after, when your head lies smooth against a hide, you feel an unfamiliar quiet. No crawling, no endless itch. Would you sacrifice patches of your own hair for the comfort of stillness in the dark? At night, the cave becomes a chamber of choking smoke. Green branches are piled on the fire, releasing clouds that sting eyes and fill throats. Families crawl under hides, pulling them tight as the haze thickens. Parasites drop from hair and skin, suffocated, while children cough and cry in the dark. Archaeologists later uncover ceilings blackened by centuries of soot, layers of smoke, residue in rock. A stratigraphy of desperate cleansing. Smoke shields the camp from predators too, for a smoky cave smells of fire, not prey, yet the price is paid in lungs, chronic coughs, eyes that water until they swell, black streaks running down walls like tar tears. Clean comes with a cost. Breathing feels like drowning in your own hearth. Would you smother the air you live on just to keep the itch away? The itch is more than annoyance. Scratch too deep and blood seeps, dirt packs into wounds, and soon pus crusts on the skin. Without soap or clean cloth, infection spreads like fire in dry grass. Children suffer first, fevers rising, eyes glassy, voices fading into weak whimpers. Archaeologists read this story in bones. Lesions carved into skulls, rough patches on ribs where skin disease gnawed long before death. A single abscess could mean weakness, and weakness meant hunger, for a sick body cannot hunt or haul wood. To be dirty was normal, but to be too dirty was a gamble with life itself. Smoke that kills lice also kills lungs. Nights of green branch fumigation leave coughs echoing through the cave, deep and tearing. Eyes swell, throats burn, and elders lose breath that never returns. Archaeologists see ceilings lacquered with tar, soot deposits black as ink. In these layers is the memory of countless suffocations, survival chosen at the cost of air itself. Predators stayed away, parasites fell, but lungs collapsed. People woke wheezing, children's cries turning hoarse. Survival through smoke became a daily poison. And yet the ritual continued, for nothing was more feared than the endless crawl of parasites across the scalp at night. In every camp, there were those considered too dirty. Covered in sores, scratching until flesh tore, They were pushed closer to the cave mouth where wind cut deepest. Exclusion was a punishment and protection at once. Distance meant fewer parasites for the group. Archaeologists find thin sleeping layers near entrances, ash mixed with little else. Proof of those who were forced to dwell at the edge. For some, stigma ended in abandonment, left behind during migrations when every load mattered. To be unclean was not only sickness of body, but shame before kin. Imagine being shoved toward the freezing dark because your skin carried too many bites. In the smallest winter shelters, a few families huddled together with little more than a fire and hides. Space was tight but easier to manage. Fewer bodies, fewer parasites, quicker rituals of grooming. Archaeologists uncover shallow deposits in such sites, thin bands of ash, limited waste, cleaner soil. The difference is striking. Fewer lice eggs preserved, fewer signs of skin lesions. In these groups, smoke sufficed, and every member took turns picking and scraping. Still, vulnerability was sharp. If even one hunter fell sick, the whole camp starved. Cleanliness here was relative. Survival balanced on the edge of scarcity. By contrast, large seasonal gatherings swelled caves with dozens of bodies. Fires multiplied, smoke thickened, food scraps piled. Archaeologists read this in deep stratigraphy. Thick ash deposits, coprolites rich with parasite remains, stone floors dark with compacted filth. In these crowded shelters, lice and fleas bloomed. Grooming was constant, yet never enough. But larger groups meant better protection, more hunters, more hides to burn, more fat to mix into ash pastes. Social rank emerged too. Those nearest the fire basked in warmth and could stay cleaner, while the peripheral sleepers coughed in smoke and froze in drafts. Hygiene was hierarchy written in dirt. You step into a hot shower today and twist a knob, clean water pours, soap foams, and in minutes the itch of sweat and dirt is gone. Yet the sediment under prehistoric caves tells another rhythm, where lice eggs fossilized, where soot dripped black streaks, where flint edges were worn thin by scraping scalps. Archaeologists catalogue these fragments and remind us that comfort is fragile, a very recent invention. For thousands of years, people clawed their own skin, smeared ash into wounds, and lived with coughs that never left. What you call hygiene was once an endless battle against crawling things. Still, the continuity is clear. You scratch absent-mindedly at your scalp, you wash your hands, you worry about odour before meeting others. The same fears shaped lives in caves, to smell foul, to carry parasites, to be pushed aside to the margins. Even now we speak of clean and unclean, linking health to worth. Archaeological layers whisper that this division is ancient, older than cities, older than language carved in stone. The itchy in the night connects you directly to those who crouched in smoke, who cracked lice between nails, who scraped their skin raw just to breathe easier for a few hours. You survived the itch because you traded comfort for tactics. Ash that stung your lungs, hands that bled, nights that tasted of smoke. Those small cruel rituals, rubbing charcoal into hair, biting shells between teeth, shaving patches raw, were the price of a broken sleep and another hunting day. Think of it. Every softened child, every quieted cough, every night without the endless rasp of scratching was paid for in soot and sore skin. That trade shaped social rules too. Who sat nearest the fire, who got the fat to mix with ash, who was shoved to the cave mouth. Hygiene was not a luxury then, it was a distributed medicine, a patchwork of small violences that kept a group breathing together. If you feel squeamish, remember the archaeology beneath your feet. Strata of ash, comb fragments, charred hair, the fossilized margin notes of someone else's desperate grooming. You carry their echo in a different grammar. The shower is a small miracle, the comb a tiny triumph, but every time you itch, every time you check your hair before a meeting, you reenact an ancient calculus of survival and shame. So next time you reach for shampoo, spare a thought for the small, brutal cleverness that kept people alive when clean water was a season and not a tap. If you like this dive into grime and grit, subscribe for more bedside archaeology. 12 minutes that smell faintly of smoke and teach you how comfort was fought for, one scrape at a time.